Belarus has confirmed Russia's begun transferring tactical nuclear weapons to Belarusian territory. Ukraine's northern neighbour has been Moscow's closest ally since this war began last February, when Russia invaded. Russia has repeatedly used Belarus as a staging ground for incursions into Ukraine.
Russian and Belarusian defence ministers signed the agreement on Thursday to deploy the tactical nuclear weapons. Opposition leaders in Belarus denounced the move, and the US government says NATO is not changing its defensive posture. Experts say the move isn't only dangerous, it's against the law.
It's illegal. This violates several international agreements, including that Belarus has signed, including the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, where it says it will be a non-nuclear state, will not possess nuclear weapons. It violates the Budapest Memorandum of 1994, when Belarus gave up the Soviet nuclear weapons that had been stationed there. It violates the Belarusian constitution. It violates Putin's own statements of just 2 months ago, when with China, he declared that no nation should station nuclear weapons outside their own territory. Here he is doing that.
Meanwhile, we are getting reports of a new wave of Russian strikes on Ukraine that pummeled the country for hours overnight. Salma's been looking at that. What can you tell us, Salma?
So a massive wave of attack drones and missiles coming overnight that hit Kharkiv, they hit Dnipro, they hit Kyiv. The Ukrainian Air Force saying 17 cruise missiles and 31 attack drones. One official in Dnipro describing it as an extremely difficult night, saying that this lasted for hours. It was extremely loud. There was damage to buildings. We don't know of any casualties so far or injuries, but put this in the context, of course, of this expected counteroffensive, and you begin to understand everything that Ukraine is juggling, from attacks to civilian areas all the way across the country to, of course, those very difficult battles along those front lines. And, of course, recently Bakhmut mostly lost to Russia. Ukraine insists that it does have pockets of resistance, but again, on the back foot in Bakhmut on those front lines and dealing with a massive barrage of missiles and drone attacks.
Washington has stated publicly since last summer that they believe Iran is supplying Russia with drones to aid their invasion of Ukraine. You've been investigating this because it is a claim denied vehemently by Iran.
Yes. So those drone attacks that happened last night, and many of the drone attacks we've seen over the last weeks and months, those drones are Iranian-made, according to Ukrainian officials. We, as journalists, have seen, our teams on the ground have seen the remnants of these Iranian-made drones. The question is, how are they getting there? Take a look.
These calm waters are home to a secret Russia doesn't want you to know. Experts say Iran is quietly sending weapons on ships like this one across the Caspian Sea to replenish arms for Moscow's war on Ukraine. Concealing movement at sea is considered nefarious and potentially a violation of international law. But in the Caspian Sea, there's a growing number of gaps in vessels' tracking data, known as AIS, with a more than 50% increase in ships hiding their movement between August and September of 2022, according to maritime trafficking data. Most of the vessels going dark are Iranian or Russian-flagged tankers. The timing is suspicious too, this practice picking up last summer, just as White House officials revealed that Russia had purchased hundreds of drones from Iran. So why would these ships want to hide their movements? Maritime security analyst Martin Kelly tells us it is likely because of what these vessels are carrying.
There's a correlation between Russia requesting drones from Iran, dark port calls in the Caspian Sea, and an increase in dark AIS activity. And that, to me, is a key indicator of these three aspects combined, that something was going on, probably the export of Iranian drones to Russia.
This heat map from Lloyd's List shows where most of those gaps in AIS are concentrated, mostly near Iran's Amirabad port and Russia's Astrakhan port, where ships appear to be turning off their data on approach and going dark for extended periods of time. Now, using data like this and expert analysis, CNN was able to identify 8 vessels that exhibited suspicious behavior in the Caspian Sea. This is one such vessel. It's a Russian-flagged tanker that was seen in early January, leaving Iran's Amirabad port, making its way across the Caspian Sea to Russia's Astrakhan port. Now, we cannot independently verify what this tanker was carrying, but experts tell us the shipment was likely linked to the arms trade.
And there are signs that Tehran could be airmailing arms too. The U.S. and Ukraine both accused Tehran of sending supplies to Russia by plane. CNN analyzed the tracking data of 4 Iranian cargo planes, flagged by the U.S. Commerce Department for potentially carrying drone shipments. Collectively, the aircraft made at least 85 trips to Moscow airports between May 2022 and March 2023. Iran has admitted that it sold a small number of drones to Russia, but it says the sale was a few months prior to the war in Ukraine. CNN has reached out to Iran and Russia for comment, but has yet to receive a response. But given the much larger volume cargo ships can carry, the Caspian Sea corridor is likely the primary conduit. And experts say it is the new frontier for weapons trade between Moscow and Tehran, tucked away from Western interference. It provides an easy avenue for sanctions evasion, expert Anissa Tabrizi says.
I think the perception in Moscow is that Tehran can teach a lot to Moscow about how to go and how to still have a significant economy even when sanctions are imposed.
And there is very little the U.S. and its allies can do to stop it. And more could be on the way. Intelligence officials warned in November Iran plans to send ballistic missiles, ammunition, and more sophisticated drones to Moscow. A bustling corridor potentially providing a much-needed arsenal critical to Russia's land grab in Ukraine.
Now, you can't underestimate the impact of these Iranian-made drones on the conflict. They are small. They are difficult to be detected by the air defense technology that Ukraine has. They can cause a great deal of damage. They frustrate Ukraine at a time when it's trying to fight on those front lines. And as you heard there, the concern is that Iran could provide more than just drones. This relationship between Moscow and Tehran is deepening. The cooperation is becoming more and more important as Russia turns to Iran for help to replenish its arsenal, of course, on those front lines. Iran sees an opportunity here to rebalance, if you will, its relationship with Moscow, experts tell us. And the key thing here to remember is the Caspian Sea. Just take a look at that map. The U.S. doesn't have a footprint there. NATO doesn't have a footprint there. It is extremely difficult for Ukraine's Western allies to stop this, if at all.
OK, Salma, thank you very much indeed for bringing us that.
Great reporting.